everyone. So today I'm out here in my vegetable garden space, which is rather small at this point. But I really wanted to do raised beds this year instead of straight in-ground planting. And I just didn't have the time and the money and the resources to go out and do that this year. And I really wanted to focus on using things that were around my own property and sourcing things from the land that we live on. And we actually had just cut down a bunch of trees. And so I decided to see what I could do with those and see how I could kind of morph the two things of raised beds and in-ground planting. So I'll show you what I came up with. So what I did was just cut some logs with my chainsaw and laid them out roughly along the border of where I wanted my garden space to be and about the size that I wanted to create. I just wanted a space to begin with where I could start my spring crops and have them be separate from the rest of the yard. I wanted some separation between the yard and the garden space, because whenever you're planting straight in ground, a lot of times you deal with those weeds wanting to come into your garden. And whenever you can create some sort of barrier that is mostly impenetrable to really create a barrier between the grass in your garden, that helps out so much. So I laid out a rough outline of what I wanted, and then I dug into the ground a little bit to set the logs in place so that they wouldn't be moving around. And you can see I left a little spot here so you can see. I dug it out and then I went around and filled in around the outside and the inside so that there wasn't any space. I just left that area to show you guys. So this is what I came up with, and I actually went and bought some potting mix. Now, I would have preferred to get some compost, but I couldn't get any. They didn't have any more at my store whenever I went. And so there was a big old bag of potting mix, and I normally plant my vegetables straight in ground anyway. So I was like, it's better than nothing. And I wanted to really elevate the soil level inside the bed. So I just dumped that potting mix into my native soil and I mixed it in. Like I said, compost would have been even better, but I used what I had. I was very impatient about it. I was ready to get plants in the ground. So I will go through here and just show you a little bit of the spring crops that I have started. First of all, I have some strawberries. These ones here are an ever-bearing type of strawberry. So they will be producing smaller strawberries throughout most of the season for me. As you can see, we have some buds and we have some little berries going to be forming here real soon. So we have those on this side. And then I have some romaine lettuce right there. And then I have some red sail lettuce. Now this red sail lettuce it's grown about double the size that it was. They were teeny tiny whenever I first planted them. But really, honestly, these plants have kind of just sat in the ground and have not really grown on much at all. This is also romaine lettuce. And I think it's because it's just been so cool. And honestly, I'm just happy they haven't died. This here is Swiss chard. I actually was at the garden center and I saw it and I'm like, I've never had Swiss chard, I've never grown it. That would probably be shocking to some of you, but I was like, let's just try it. It's so colorful, it's so pretty, let's just see what it's like. And honestly, my kids love it. It's such a tiny baby plant, so I gotta keep them away from it. But they come up and they'll just snap a little leaf off and eat it. And I'm like, let it grow. But anyway, so there's a little patch of Swiss chard just to give it a go this year and see what it's like. And then these strawberries on this side are a June bearing strawberry. So you can see that they're starting to get a few buds, which is actually surprising to me. I wasn't expecting any buds on this guy yet. I've never actually done June berries before, but I just assumed that they wouldn't start blooming until closer June. But June bearing berries should have bigger berries and only bear one time a year. So we'll have to see. This is my first time trying out June bearing berries. We'll have to see how they go. If you guys know more about them, leave it in the comment section below. Help me out. Help others who watch the video, because I don't know too much about them. So then we have some cauliflower. We have a row of cauliflower here, and as you can see, I was really worried. We had a frost the other day. We actually had snow, and so all these outer leaves got real brown and they were looking really sad, but then they started to just push on some new growth and they're looking great. This guy's looking pretty sad still. I was worried about him for a little while, but they seem to be pretty good now. And then behind that we have a row of broccoli. And then behind that we have some onions. So I believe these are Walla Walla onions. I bought these as onion starts, which means that they already had this little green grown on them. And you can just stick them in the ground like this and let them go. So I have a row and a half of those. And these, honestly, I've been impressed with. When everything else has just kind of been sitting there not doing much, these have actually bulked up quite a bit. I mean, they still look so small, but they have gotten a lot thicker since since I last planted them, or since I first planted them, I should say. And then back here we have some sweet peas, sweet snap peas. I actually hate regular peas, and the only peas that I like are snow sweet peas. So I like to plant those, and I actually planted them by seed. And I was really kind of disappointed in the way that they came up and germinated. But I had not soaked the seed beforehand. And my mom actually came by and told me, go ahead and try to soak the seeds and then re-sow them and see how they do. So I just did that yesterday. I soaked the seeds, I put them back in, and we'll see how they come up. And then lastly, over here, I have a little pot of carrots, and they're just starting to come up teeny tiny. I expect this entire pot to be absolutely full of carrots. So we just have one little spot back here germinated so far. I think that it gets more sun because of the shade of the pot. But I'm excited about those. I think we're gonna have a nice big pot full of carrots. So this is my little garden experiment this year, and I hope to inspire you guys to try something new. I have never gardened like this before. I'm used to plowing up the soil and putting plants in the ground and letting them go to town, and for some things it's worked great, and for other things it really hasn't worked at all. And I wanted to try to work towards getting a raised bed system so that I could control the soil. Oh, the bugs are out, y'all, already. I could control the water, I could control the weeds better, and I feel like with a raised bed, even a half raised bed, I can control those things a little better than if it's just straight in the ground. And so I'm gonna give you guys updates. I'm gonna tell you how I like it, what I don't like about it, if I would have changed something, all that kind of stuff. I'll show you how the plants are growing. I would love to show you the harvest that I get off of them and all things like that. But I just want to encourage you guys to look around your own property, look around your house, see what containers you have, see what wood you have lying around. I would not recommend using pressure treated wood just because we're growing food and those chemicals can leach into the soil and actually be sucked up by your food and the plant's roots. But just some logs or some non-pressure treated wood would be great. Even rocks, doing a rock border around it would be awesome. So yeah, just get out there, look around, see what you can find, see what containers you can throw stuff in. I mean, even if you're gardening on a balcony, you could throw a few tomato plants, a few pepper plants out in a container and put it out on your balcony and grow some food. I mean, there's nothing better than fresh tomatoes out of the garden. Like, I don't know what the store does to tomatoes. Anybody else there with me? Like, they do not taste the same as they do coming out of your garden. But yeah, just encourage you guys, try something new, get started. Don't have to have this giant, beautiful plan that may be unattainable right now. Just get started, and then as you grow your food and as your knowledge grows, and as you get to know your land and your property in growing food, you can expand and you can maybe have that beautiful garden, Pinterest-worthy garden someday. But I worry that we'll never get there if we don't get started with what we have first. And so I just want to encourage you guys with that today, and show you what I was doing and let you know how it goes. All right, we'll see you later.